Hey guys, it's Katie. So I want to try something here. One, I have this glass jar that I got from Goodwill for $1. When I used to do mosaics, I used to look for a lot of these glass jars to do different mosaics on. And I'll show you a couple that I've done at some point. And anyway, so I want to use this to make a candle holder. I do make my own candles as well, and so this glass will protect it if I actually use a real candle, or I could use a battery operated candle. I also have to go to, I bought this like a year ago. It's been sitting in my basement. It's pretty dusty, but I have to go to Goodwill and see, because you can find tons of old glass jars for pretty cheap. So that's one thing I want to use in this project. The other thing is I have someone in my group, and she's been making silk screens, and she has a lot of awesome silk screens, and she sent me these ones to use. She said, would you like to use any? I said, sure. It's fall and winter's coming up. So it's Ojoy Creations. Mary Jo Coleman is her name. She's definitely on my Facebook page, and she shows a lot of the new silk screens she's making. So she sent me these silk screens. This is a fall one. This is a winter one, and I think this is one that I'm going to use potentially. There's this one as well, that when she actually put it on like a bowl, it's actually a really cool pattern. And that's what I told her to do. I said, even just if you put it on paper so people can see, because sometimes on the screen itself you can't really tell what the pattern is. And then this one is actually pretty cool too when it's actually painted. So I think I might attempt to use this one in parts of this. And then I also got some new stamps, just some snowflake ones. I don't know what we're gonna do with this. So anyways, first thing is I've been trying to think of what kind of backing I can put on this. So I have a couple ideas in mind that we're going to try out and see how they come out. Let me see, where's my list? One is to take maybe some translucent, some white pearl, and just swirl it like a Natasha bead and make a veneer. Two would be to make almost like Samantha Burroughs' Starry Night type, where we make a bunch of swirls and flatten it out and make a veneer. I was thinking potentially to take some like white pearl and translucent balls like the faux burl wood we did and make that a veneer. I was also thinking we could do the torn paper type of veneer with white translucent pearl. And then I was also thinking, what if we make a cane with just swirls, right? And see how that comes out. So I was going to make some testers of each of these and then put them on just little squares and see what I like best. So I figured that would be what I show you. So let me first, I think I first want to make that cane design and see, I don't know, if I like one of them, maybe that's what we go with. So let me get some, I want to use white pearl. I also want to use translucent, and I think I might use plain white. I don't know. We'll see. Let me grab some clay out. So I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do. Recently I've found myself personally, I've done my own like individual little tests, and I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but I found Cernet's quite translucent and looks really good. I don't know where my little piece of paper went that I tested it on. So I'm going to use some Cernet. Now, out of all my Cernet, I don't see that they have a white pearl. I have a lot of their metallics and stuff, but I don't see like a pearl color like Primo has a pearl. I don't really see that. I have this, which is pretty cool. I don't know if you can see the glittery. This one, this is Cernet translucent, and it's white glitter. And I don't know if I can get it to show up. Oh, there you can, down here. See how it's glittery? So I might use that as the translucent because it has little flecks of glitter in it. I might use some plain white, and I'd like to use Cernit, but I only have Primo in the pearl. So I think what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to make a small batch of this because I may not like it. So let's do a little tester batch. And if I like it, then I would make a larger batch in what I liked. So I'm going to take some pearl. This is going to be mini. Let's take some white. Wipe my blade off. No, less than that. And then let's take some of this Cernit white glitter translucent as well. Because I want this to be kind of frosty. You know, I don't want it to be really bold for a background. Because I plan on using a silk screen and some stamps and stuff like that in front. So I do want this to be somewhat see-through, obviously, to let light through. I don't know, we'll see what we can achieve. And we'll see if this even gives me the look I want. It might not. Urgh, why is this pack opening so hard? Usually they don't open this hard. Well, I guess I'm going to have to cut it. Scissors. I know most of your craft desks kind of look like mine. It's probably a mess right now. I've been making those bowls. See, I don't know, can you see it more without the package on? Do you see the glitter down in there? Which might look really dainty and pretty. It's not like the white gold glitter that Primo has. It's a translucent with glitter in it, which I actually didn't even notice that they had it. They do have different tones as well. And it's like a really super, super fine glitter in there. You can kind of see it sparkling here and there. But in person you can see it a lot more. But it is very dainty and delicate. So I think what I'm going to do, obviously I have to condition these, and I'm going to roll them out. Now I believe I'm not going to use, I don't want too much opaque white, so that's going to be thinner. The Primo's also opaque, the pearl, so that's going to be thinner. And I want a thicker layer of the translucent compared to these two. So let me get them conditioned, and then I'll kind of decide on what thicknesses I'm going to do. Okay, so I may potentially need some more. I have the pearl rolled out, so all the micas are laying flat, which means I just folded it, ran it through, folded it, ran it through, like this. I have, and that's on setting 7. Both the opaque ones are. The white's also on setting 7. And then I'm using for my white and translucent, use a Makin's machine. So I don't know, they're pretty thin. Pretty thin. And then this translucent white glitter one is on a setting 2. So pretty much what I'm going to do is my thought in my mind was to make a bunch of jelly rolls and stick them together like we did the white translucent cane, and then cut slices. But until I know that I'm going to like that, I'm not quite sure. I don't want to do big ones, you know what I mean? I don't want to waste any clay, but I do want to try it out and see if it'll even give me the pattern I want. So I'm just cutting a strip of the pearl right now. And I think I'm going to sandwich and do pearl, translucent, white. Or white. I want to put the translucent one in the middle. You know what also might look cool is the opal one. Primo's opal. I'm just going to lay that on there. Cut off the excess pearl. these ends off. This is my really, really, really dull blade that I still use a lot. It was the first blade I got, and it was the only blade I had. I mean, I still only have like 2 blades, but it was the only blade I had for like a good 6 months. I do have 2 that I use, this really dull one, and then a Kato one, and then I have one that I saved specifically that I just got for canes. That's really sharp. Just cutting some of this excess off. And I don't know what this will look like baked up, so which is why I'm doing a test. People always ask me when they're asking questions, could I do it with this or could I do it with that? Why not? Who's stopping you? Go ahead and try it. See if it works. You know, you can always make a small batch of something and test it out. So right now I have the pearl stacked on top of the white translucent glittery one, and then so I'm going to sandwich the translucent type in the middle. And then I'm going to do the white. And both of those opaque, the white and the pearl, are really thin. I may decide to go thinner, I don't know. We'll see how it looks when I'm done. Because most likely I'll modify. I don't know, I've never made this before. I want to see if I can achieve what I'm looking for. I don't really know what I'm looking for. It's just going to be a background. Contemplating it, running it through my machine just to make sure. Maybe I'll just roll. It's a little thicker, I think, than the thickest setting, so maybe I'll just roll it out quickly. But I have to clean my roller off because I've been using my roller for those full burl wood bowls, so it could have some red clay on it. I'm just going to gently try to roll it evenly, just to make sure it's stuck together to push any air out. Like that. And then I'm going to take one end and pinch it, just to kind of make it easier to roll up into a jelly roll. I'm just going to flatten it a little bit. The center, that one end that's going to be a center. Like that. And then I don't think it matters if it's white or pearl on the outside. Let's put the white on the inside. Yeah, let's put the white on the inside. I can always decide to change it later if I don't, you know, when I make this into a larger size to coat this. Because I'm going to need a lot more of it if I'm going to decide to use this veneer. And I think I'm going to pull up this pearl, just drag it up so it's all pearl on the outside. See how I just dragged up the pearl? Kind of like we did with the rose. And that will seam it down. Okay, now that's big, so I'm going to reduce this, just like we do a normal circle. Take your fingers and tap, and you want to tap in the center, and that way you push any air out the side. Now I do have a little black dot there, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'm not overly concerned about that, again, because this is my trial. And I might leave different sizes of this, is what I was thinking as well, to have different size swirls. I was just dragging up some of the pearl on the outside. And pretty much I'm just going to make a little square of this, really. And I can always use this later as a white clay, a white pearlized clay, if I don't like it. Just pulling it a little bit. You can roll this type because it's not that detailed of a cane, but I don't generally reduce by rolling. I'm trying to get my largest one, which is going to be fairly small. Maybe I'm almost there. I don't know, I'm just trying to create like a blustery, wintry feel background. Okay, so this might be my largest one. Obviously, you should let this rest before you go slicing into any cane. Where's my other blade? I don't even know where it is. Okay, well, this is gonna have to work. Okay. So that's what we have. I mean, it's about the size of my pinky, I guess. So let me cut one of those. Maybe that tall. Should I cut two? Maybe just one. And then let's reduce it down a little bit more. And get a couple of this size. We'll stick them together. My dog's whining. Oh, I'm so sad Daddy went upstairs. Okay, let's cut a couple of these. I'm going to leave the ends on because when we reduce it together, it's going to get distorted anyway. So, see, we'll do a couple of these. Oh, I'm so sad. I don't know, you can do as many as you want or as little as you want or whatever sizes you want. I really don't have any rhyme or reason for doing these sizes. I'm just kind of going for it. I'm just playing tonight. It's like 10 o'clock on Wednesday night after work. I figured I might as well do a trial. And I know you guys like to see when I try things, so I figured I'd show you. Because you said it helps you, a lot of people, it helps them learn how to test out things, or it helps them kind of feel more free to just try things and be a little more creative rather than just follow someone's instructions. So maybe I'll cut two of those. Jackson, go upstairs. My 70-pound pit bull. I don't know if you could hear him over there. Mom. Don't be lazy. Go upstairs. Oh, sorry, I'm out of the camera shot. I was just reducing some more. And I am getting some distortion on this end. Like the pearl's not going all the way up. It's hard for you to see because it's white. But I still may use it because it might give a nice variation. Just something different to it. Why not? Okay, let's cut a couple of these size. So if this was my smallest size before, that's not quite smaller, much smaller than that. I don't want to go too small though, because you're gonna lose the effect of the swirl. And when you pull to reduce, like when it gets this small, you got to pull up the length, because if you just pull on the two ends, it's just going to get skinny at one point, usually in the middle. See how small the swirl is getting now? It's so hard to even see it. So let's cut quite a few of these. And like I said, later I can always judge if I want to make them bigger or smaller. I might decide to do a couple of big ones rather than a bunch of small ones. And that way the pattern's more open. I don't know, we'll see. Do I want to use this? Let's use it. Let's use it. So it doesn't have as much pearl, but you know what? Who's gonna know? But you and I. Oh, it's fatter on this end. Okay, then all we're going to be doing, just like a lot of other canes, is just kind of sticking them together. So let's take a big one, let's put a couple little ones, just randomly. It doesn't need to be anything perfect. Let's grab some different ones. Let's just stick them on here. Hopefully I can get all the way around with what I have. Oh, I made it. And then I'm just going to squish this together. Let's see, do I want to squish it as a square? Squares would be easier to match up on a thing, so let's do squares. So I'm just literally going to squish it into a square. And let me grab one. An acrylic block works really well for this kind of stuff. Let me just kind of get it square shaped, and then I'll start in the middle and work my way to the end to try to push out any possible air. So I'll take my fingers and just work up to the end. Work up to the end, flip it. And that way I'm trying to push any air in the middle out. But hopefully while I was reducing those circles, I was keeping air out. I mean, in my big one, I didn't look like I had much air in that, so. But we got to get any air out from in between. And this might, because I'm reducing at a circle, it might not look good. Like, we'll see. You could also reduce this into different sizes as well. You know, so if you made a big square, you could have big squares and little squares. Like that. So then, let me grab my cane slicer. Let's make my small little trial of this. And obviously the thinner you cut these, the better. I think that looks pretty cool, huh? And it definitely would look cool if we have a lot of variated sizes, you know, like a couple more big ones and a couple more medium ones. So let me try to cut these into thin slices best I can. And then I'll just make a little square that I'll lay on the glass. And you'll be able to peel it off the glass fairly easy. This will just kind of be a trial batch. Okay, and then we'll begin randomly. Let me zoom in a little bit. randomly putting these together. And obviously, again, it's just a trial. So later, if I decide to go with this pattern, I would make it a little more perfect. Really sharpen up my corners, get these to fit together super well, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But as of now, I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just looking to see if this is a pattern I actually want to use or not. I'm just taking my fingers and sharpening these corners. I really like it, actually. It's very delicate, and I wish it showed up as pretty as it looks in real life. And we probably got some smearage. That's okay because I cut it without letting it rest. You know, obviously if we had let it rest. It probably would have worked a little better, you know, of course. And I don't care if the margins are all wonky. I really, honestly, I don't. My mindset of this would be to let this pattern just breathe and be fun and open and different, you know? Oh, that one's really thin, but that's okay. We'll make do. Okay, I think that's probably enough there to do a trial batch. And I can also take a little swirl here, and if I even make this is the end swirl. If I even make this smaller, I could potentially stick it where I have any gaps, you know, as just like filler. I mean, it's not going to look perfect. That's not really what I'm going for. You know, if you think of a snowstorm like in a child's book, a drawing, it would be blustery and they would draw circles and, you know, it'd be all like crazy swirls and wind blowing. That's kind of in my mind what I'm thinking. But I'm going to see which one will kind of come up better. So I'm just kind of filling in these gaps with just little pieces here. Doesn't need to be anything major because this pattern's not a pattern that's needs to be like that. And I don't really like making patterns that need to line up perfectly. I mean, I don't mind doing it if I'm going to lay just 4 cane pieces down, but if I have to lay a whole bunch down, I don't want to have to. For me, that's too much. Some people are amazing, like Teresa Pandora. She's amazing at lining up cane slices. Fiona Abel Smith, she's also amazing at lining up cane slices on like bracelets and different things. For me, that's too tedious. For me, that's tedious. Some people might like that. I just, for some reason, that's when I'm doing this kind of clay stuff, I don't want to be that. I don't want to have to pay attention to the edges that much. You know? I want them to kind of be all wonky. I'm just rolling it out. I should have probably put it on some parchment. It would have been easier to pick this up after. I'm just rolling it out in a bunch of directions, just pulling the pattern. Oop. Oh, look, I folded it up on itself. Should have been paying attention. Look, I even put a piece there. Let's see if I can just jam this down. Again, trial run. Let's see if I can slice that out. I don't know. And if I sanded it off later, it would probably come off. Okay, that's probably good enough. You gotta remember, this isn't perfect right now. This is just a test batch to see if we can get something cool going on. Now the other thing is this glass is nasty. Like I said, it's been sitting in a box in my basement near our wood that we used to heat our house. So there's like wood pieces in it. And whatever, good enough. Let's lay this on here. And I'm not putting anything on the glass because I don't really care if it sticks or not. I'm just going to bake it to it, and then I can see how well it will reflect the light. Just kind of smushing it on there. I'll probably have to give a little sanding to it if I like it to see its full effect. Okay, yes, I have a couple little dots on there, but I'm not worried about it. Again, this is just a trial batch. Okay, so there's one. The other thing I was doing was just like we did with the faux burlwood bowl, is take some of these clays, like the pearl. I'm trying to get the one that the micas are all still flat. Take a little bit of this translucent, take a little bit of the white, and make balls. And then we can make a veneer out of that and see what that gives us for a pattern. Just random different size balls. I'm separating them so I can make sure I have like even amounts around each other, so I don't get a layer of white, a layer of pearl, a layer of the other one. This might look stupid too, you know, I don't know. And just random balls. I'll just make a small batch of this. This is how I was doing it to test for the faux burlwood based on Caliana's thing, to test the different mica colors. I'd make small little piles and see if I liked it or not. You know, see if it came out to how I wanted it. Or if it was a strong enough mica shift. So I'm only, like I said, I'm only separating these like this so I can get an even distribution when I pile this up of pearl, the glitter translucent, and the white. Because if I just put it in a pile, I'd get like a layer of however many of these I rolled up, unless I pulled one off of here, rolled it in, pulled one off of there, rolled it in a ball, pulled one off of there. That's too much of a pain in the butt. And again, a lot of times when I'm doing my videos, I'm showing you things in the way my brain processes it. And it may not be the way your brain thinks about going about things. So do it however you find works for me. And it may not work for everybody. That's why some people say they learn from me really well. Other people may not. So, you know, we all learn differently. Okay, so I always go back to thinking of this. I was a straight A student, 4.0 GPA, except for in math. Math always brought my GPA down. I always got a C in math. In high school. I did better in college, but in high school. Now, I was always in the smart kid class, right? And we had this girl in my class who, for some reason, could always explain it to me. Math, whatever we were working on, algebra, geometry, whatever. Her name was Meg Llewellyn. And for some reason, I just got it when she explained it. Now, she would explain it differently than the teacher would. But it always she could make it make sense, whereas the teacher couldn't. So I always, which is why I initially made a video of how to do a rose, because the way other people were doing it, parts of it made sense, parts of it didn't. Some parts, so I kind of merged a bunch of videos and then added in my own spins on it. So sometimes two people are saying the same thing, but it's just the way they're saying it. You know what I mean? So this is just the way I'm doing it. But it's not the right or wrong way. And I guess some people might say there is a right or wrong way. I don't believe that. I don't believe in art there is right or wrong at all. I think art is very free, and whatever makes you happy is right. So I'm adding an extra ball to each one of these of the glitter translucent. So I have a little more translucent than I have with the opaque, which would be kind of the same idea as having a thicker layer of translucent compared to a thinner layer of the opaque colors that we just did in the swirls. So I'm going to keep rolling balls until I feel like I have enough that I could cut a couple slices from to test it out. Because right now, those would be some pretty damn small slices. You know what it reminds me of? Dippin' Dots. Dippin' Dots. Has anybody ever had that ice cream? Okay, I'm going to keep doing this until I get slightly bigger pile, and then I'll be back. You don't need to watch me. And the thing about this is it might not work because I'm not using enough pearl clay, but I'm thinking once it's baked, it might actually work. I'm also going to take this scrap cane and I'm going to roll that up too. Might as well, right? I could do the same thing if I need it with this scrap, right? It can't hurt. It's just a mix of the same clays. I could use this. So this may or may not look... Now, I guess when it's raw, it may look dumb. When it's baked is where we'll see the difference. It's so windy out today. Okay, so right now we have like 50 mile an hour gusts. And I have these mini fans in my basement window because we're smokers and this is the only place we smoke, just facing out. And it's so windy right now that the fans keep going like silent because it's like stopping them. It's kind of weird. I'm hoping we'll see a pattern when I bake this. And obviously, if, like I said, when I do this for sure, I'll make sure my table, I'll vacuum off my counter and make sure everything's like nice and clean and hopefully dust free as best as it can in a place where I have 2 dogs. Just kind of is what it is. A little bit more of this translucent glitter, and then I'm hoping I have enough. Because you think the Cernit translucent, a lot of the translucents, like the Primo, Diesel, the Primo translucent looks a different color. The Pardo and the Cernit look white. So when I cut this raw, it's going to just look like different tones of white. But when I bake it is where I'm hoping the difference will come. Because we have the pearl. We're going to have a bunch of translucent blocks. I'm doing more of that translucent glitter. I'm probably doing, you know, say I had 5 balls, 3 of them would be the translucent glitter. This is probably enough to get a couple slices out of if I make a really small block. So with this, I'm going to flatten it out. Again, I hate to waste clay. You could use your acrylic block for this too, but I'm just going to force it into a mini square. A mini square. Pushing it until it looks fairly seamed and there's no big cracks left. Now honestly, I'd probably be better off cutting this with my Lucy clay slicer because it's so small. So right now, like I said, it's just going to look like different tones of white. But I'm hoping when I bake it is where we'll see the actual difference. So let me cut some slices of this too. Before I do that, if you sharpen up your corners, squares will usually fit together if you make these corners a little overly exaggerated because they get blunted when you cut them. Again, not that it really matters right now. Again, I really don't care if the sizes are all the same or not. Oh, I got a little bit of that pink in it. Okay, let me fit a few of these. So if we look at them, they're just like these little mismatched blobs of white. And these are so small. I mean, I could use it all, but I'm not going to. And honestly, if I did decide to make a batch of this, I would roll this into balls, because, again, why not? And when I do this, I'll roll this through the machine later, but right now, for this tester batch, I'm just going to thin it out this way. But a nice thin sheet of this translucent would be best, so it's as see-through as possible. So I think what I'll do is I'll get these in the oven, and then depending if I like them or not, we may try other ones. We may decide to go ahead with this. You know, if it's what I think will look cool, I might go ahead with it. Save the other thoughts for different designs. And like I said, I'll probably hit up my Goodwill at some point in time and see if I can find 2 glass jars that are the same, so I can make 2 candle holders that match. So see it right now. Just trying to push out from as much air from behind this as I can. That actually might look cool. You know, that I think might look cool. Might even be cool if we do like a mix of it. You know, like do some swirl, some of that, some swirl, some of that. You know, I could make 2 of them and do, like, we take a slice of this, right? I could lay a slice of this near it. Let me stretch it, make it a little taller. You know, and not even either, not like even numbers of slices, like maybe 2 swirls and then 1 of these, or 2 of these and 1 swirl, you know. I think I'd want it more random. And obviously I'd have to make a pretty big sheet to make it look random. It's not really a full piece, either is this. This was the end. Stick that near it. I don't know. I'm just playing right now. I got some scrap here.
It's raining in the morning, I'm not working, so.
Okay. He works a lot. A lot. He works like 70 hours a week. And then in the winter they plow and they work a lot when it snows. And in Vermont it snows a lot. And when it snows, it frickin' snows here. So some nights he could leave at 3 a.m. and not get home until midnight the next night. You know, he could be plowing for over 24 hours straight with his dump truck. That might look too stupid for me, but I don't know. We'll try it. You know? Let's bake on this side. Okay, I'm going to get these in the oven. Like I said, if I like them, we'll stop here and we'll make real batches, and if I don't, then we'll try some others. What? Well, I just put that in the oven. I just had a thought. Let's take all these scraps I have here and let's do it like you would, like, I might not chop it up because it might not matter if I actually chop it because it's already pretty mixed, but let me chop it up in a few pieces. Okay, let's put it back together. Into a log here. Let's swirl it. So we get some striations. It's crazy to me because I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I don't watch a lot of polymer clay since I've been making, but before bed I usually like to watch painting, oil painting I watch a lot, and I like to watch mixed media artists, and which is actually what got me into polymer clay, mixed media, so I could make my own embellishments and not have to buy them. So, and then I'm just going to scrunch this back up. So, you know, those artists, the community seems more friendly than the polymer clay community, and people might get mad about me saying this, but they're like, oh yeah, I saw this girl that did this and I want to try it. They don't say her name, they don't say who did it, I just seen someone do this and I want to try it for myself. Okay, great. Whereas if I post anything that looks like anybody else who's done it, no. Only one creator has said something to me. Other than that, it's been their fans. And I've had like 3 or 4. But to me, that's crazy. Like, you didn't invent it. Clay's been around for a long time. Who cares who invented it first? We're all just crafting and enjoying. And if you're going to put this content out for free on YouTube, who cares anyways? You're putting it out there. You should have kept it to yourself if you don't want anybody to do it. But I shouldn't go into this. Anyways, I just rolled it up into a little block. I want to see what happens if I slice it. Yeah, what if I slice it like an actual slice? Might have been easier if I squared it up a little bit, but I don't think it really matters. So this will be like more straight lines. By twisting it like that, it gave us more of this straight line. And I know it's hard for you to see because it's white, but it gave you this straight line pattern. But again, I'm thinking of snowy, so white is what I want to do. And I like the Cernet translucent. I think it looks great. It is more white than the Primo raw. It's definitely more white than the Primo translucent. So that's why it's harder to see the difference between that and the regular white. But we have the pearl in here, which shows you guys a little bit. What if I stick these together? And I'll go stick it in the oven real quick. I know I got a piece of, that's the end right there. That one was a little thick, and I got a piece of something in it. Again, this isn't perfect. Obviously, I would take a little more care if I was doing this for my final veneer. Oh, stop, Katie. It's because it's late. And I'm just kind of zoning out on what I'm doing. This side was thicker than that side, though. But I want to try to thin it out like I would if I was to run it through my machine, because I want to see what it would look like if we get some see-throughness. And honestly, I should just run it through my machine. I don't know why I'm not. Again, not perfect. What I'm going to do is stick this on this glass bowl I have, because that's what I have right here, and the other one's already in the oven. Stretch this. This side was a little thicker, so I'm going to stretch it. Open up the pattern a little bit if I stretch it. And I'll probably make it thinner. Probably wouldn't do that for my actual project, stretch it by hand, but probably just roll it on a 7 or 8 in my pasta machine, which is probably how thin it is right now. I don't want to put it on the black line, because whatever, probably show up. You can even feel it's kind of textured. I can feel a texture here from the different clays, which is actually kind of neat. Kind of feels like I'm rubbing my hand over a cloth. I hope we get some kind of cool effects. Dude, my fans are like going completely silent. They're like little mini fans because I'm in the basement and we only have these small basement windows. Eventually it'll be finished into an apartment, but right now it's just a basement. Okay, I'm going to go stick that in too while the other one's in and see what kind of weird thing we can come up with that. Okay, so after baking these last night, this is what I ended up with. This is the one where I rolled the little balls with the pearl, the white, the translucent glitter, and the regular translucent. This is the one that I did the swirls with the white, translucent, and translucent glitter. None of them have been sanded or anything. This is the one I did where I did it almost like you would kind of do a Natasha bead and swirled it. This is the one where I just kind of merged a couple together. I don't like that at all. And then after, I just did the two translucents and merged them together. The glitter and then the regular one. Obviously these haven't been sanded. They're not cut perfectly thin. But when I hold them up to the light, and I'm using my cell phone so I don't really have any light, but if I, let's see if I can get a flame behind it. What the heck? Okay, hang on, let me turn up the flame. Is that up all the way? Well, that's a little dinky flame. Let's try this. So if a candle's behind it, you can see the lines from the veneer, which I would hope I would do better on. and with it thinner, I think that might be what I want. So then there's this one, which again may look pretty cool, actually. But it might look cool for a veneer, but I don't think it's what I want for snowflakes, you know, for that. It actually looks really cool as a veneer, like if you were gonna use a candle. Sorry, I'm melting it. Oop, don't melt. It's not good to breathe it in. Trying to like hold it to where you can see it, but not. And there's that one, which actually does look cool with the light behind it. And then there's this one, which honestly, when I held it up, looked actually pretty neat. I don't have a flashlight down. I used to have a flashlight down here. I have no clue where my flashlight went. So that one I like. I like that one, and I like the two translucents. I think just the two translucents, there's not quite enough contrast. So I'm going to use the two translucents, and I think, so in this, the pearl's a little too yellowy for me. So I think I might do this, but do a mix. Okay, so I've decided on what I'm going to do, and if it turns out, however it turns out, that's what I'm using. So I'm going to take a ball of pearl here. Okay, and because it's a little yellow, I want to make it whiter. So I'm going to add some white. Probably 50-50 there. I'd say 50-50. But it's a little too opaque for what I want. When I look at it in this, it's a little too opaque. So I'm going to add a little translucent to it, just regular translucent. If I can get the bag open. Now I apologize because I am working on white, and white is hard to see on a white tile, but it's pearl, white, translucent. Okay, I'm going to about the same parts of each, I'd say probably. They're all about even. Actually, I should add some more translucent because I have two of these. So I want about half the amount of translucent to the opaque. And if both of those colors are opaque, you know, if I roll these up in a ball, I want about the same size ball in translucent. So that way, hopefully, we'll cut the translucency by half, or the opaqueness by half. Okay, so that all I'll mix up. Then I'm just going to use translucent, and I'm going to use the translucent glitter as well. I wish it showed up. It's super glittery. And I really like that. So, you know, we'll see what we get. Like I said, I can always just do a little tester piece. So I'm going to mix the pearl, the white, and the translucent up so I have an even mix. So it's completely blended. And then all we'll do is either chop pieces or roll balls or however you want to do it. And I'll be back once I get this mixed. And I'll also get these conditioned. Okay, so I have them rolled out. This is the, oh, you can see it better there. That's the glitter one. The Cernet Translucent White Glitter, it's called. Regular Cernet Translucent. Translucent, white, and about a third. No, I mean, it's not. Translucent and is half of it, and then pearl and white make the other half. Okay, so that's that. Now all I'm going to do is I am actually going to put these into little logs I could chop them up into in sheets like this, but I'm just going to fold it and make it kind of a log. You know, and what everybody's looking for look-wise varies. I mean, that's what's fun about art, is we all like different things, right? That's what keeps it kind of interesting. So you may go, oh, why didn't you use that one? You know, well, use that one or make up your own. This is not the only way it can be done. This is just something I'm doing and playing with you guys, or crafting. So, not really anything new. I'm not inventing anything. Like, I posted the faux burl wood the other day, and a lady said to me, Caliana did not come up with this. I never said she did. I'm just saying that's who inspired it by me. And the lady did not. She said, give credit where credit's due. And she didn't even say where credit should be due. So I responded, okay, where should credit be due? My only thing when it comes to like crafts that have been around for a very long time, like polymer clay, like oil, like everything, and I've never in any other group had so much, I'm not saying many people, I probably had 5 people, but it bothers me. I've never had people attack each other like this. I've never realized the polymer clay community was going to be so rude about making sure you give credit to the first person who ever did it, whether you know that they did it or not. So yes, the polymer clay tutor also has a paid faux burl wood one, I think, that I just discovered today after she said that. But then someone on my Facebook group today said she has a really old polymer clay book that had a faux burl wood in it. Like a really old polymer clay book. My thing about books, and obviously YouTube, because YouTube is new, right, in the reality of things. I wonder if anybody out there that has done clay saw a tutorial, whether it was in a book, a PDF, online, wherever, and someone put the instructions out, right? And they go, wow, I've been doing that for 15 years. Okay, they read it and they go, I've been already doing that technique for 15 years. Then everybody goes, well, that person created it because they had the means, the money, the time, the tenacity to be able to afford to put it into a book, right? So someone else has probably done it before them, but they were the first one to publish it. So does that really mean they own it? You know what I mean? I don't know, just putting that out there. I don't think anybody owns art. Sorry, I don't. I don't feel that way, that anybody owns an art technique. It's a technique. I don't feel like you can own that. Bob Ross doesn't own any landscapes, you know, even though he wasn't the first landscape artist, you know, just because he says happy little trees or a happy mistake doesn't mean he owns those words, you know what I mean? I don't know. Just get over it, okay? We're all just crafting. We're all just having fun. You don't need to caps me to death. You know, and caps means you're shouting at me, just so you know. So when you caps, she did not create it, well, okay, I'm glad you get a kick out of kind of upsetting me, and I shouldn't let it, but it does. So tell me where credit is due, and I hope you know for sure that's where it is, because if I'm going to take your word on it, because I don't know where that technique was created. I have no clue where that technique was created. Never said I created it. I'm just using it. I was just inspired by a video I saw, so I decided to make something from it. And I don't even think I followed her instructions 100%. And I'm thinking if someone put it out there, they want people to use it. I never said I designed it. I never said I came up with it. I never said I was the inventor of it. And I never said she was either. So all I'm doing is taking little pieces of each of these and chopping them up. And I'm trying to get an even distribution again. So I'm going to do little bits of each. Because if I chop up all of this, all of that, I'll probably get more of one of these than the others in an area. Now I could chop it up and leave it in its separate piles. And then kind of, maybe I'll do that. Okay, let me do that. I just had a brain fart moment. You know, it's late when I craft a lot. It's only 9 o'clock. It's not that late. But it is Thursday, and I didn't leave work until 6:30 tonight. And I did get to work at 7:15. So some nights I am kind of brain dead. So what I can do, this is a mix pile, right? It's already mixed up. I can take these. I don't want big pieces because I just want pieces. I don't really care. Some could be big, some could be little. And keep all of these in one pile. And you can roll them up into balls if you like the way the balls look better rather than sharp edges, you know. So definitely play around with the way your thing looks. Now this is going to be hard to see on video, even when it's finished. I'll try to find a flashlight when it's finished so I can show you, or I'll put a candle in it so you can see it. What I want to do is make my own candle in there. So I used to make candles, so I have some soy wax and some wicks. So what I'll do is I'll melt my own wax, put my own scents in. I don't usually add color. Put my own scents in, and then I'll fill that glass jar up with wax. So then as it melts, but I think I have some electric or battery operated candles. I'll see if that will give you enough to visualize the pattern. Oh, FYI. So I went in the other day, right, because I was telling you about my lump. I went in the other day, and so my doctor really only wanted me to have an ultrasound because she thought she'd get more information from an ultrasound. But she said sometimes the hospital like kind of demands that if you're going to do an ultrasound, you do a mammogram, right? So I went in, and the technician felt what I was feeling. She did the ultrasound. She goes, yep, there's definitely something there. And I was thinking, like, what? You didn't think there was something there? You think I'm just imagining this egg-sized bump? You know? Anyways, she goes, let me go get the doctor. So she goes and gets the doctor. The doctor comes in, checks it. They think it's like a fibro something. So it has benign tendencies, obviously, which benign is non-cancerous, malignant is cancer. So it has benign tendencies, non-cancerous tendencies. It does, like on the ultrasound, the outside looks like what tissue looks like white and hazy and stuff. The inside looks hollow. It looks just black on the inside. So maybe it's filled with fluid or something. I don't know. I'm radiology certified to read radiographs and stuff, but not ultrasounds. So there definitely is a mass there. It's about this big, I'd say. It's pretty oval. It looks exactly how it feels. When it showed up on the ultrasound, I was like, that's exactly how it feels. And so she came in. She doesn't want to do a mammogram yet. Now, it's been there for about a year, and it has grown, but they don't know that it's grown. I mean, I told them it was like this big a year ago, and now it's like this big. So I'm only 31. They want to try to avoid the radiation if possible, you know, because when you go to the dentist, right, we put the lead apron on you because your thyroid, your reproductive organs, there are certain organs that are more sensitive to radiation. And when you're doing a mammogram, those organs are being exposed. I have not had children yet either. So, and I just had a chest x-ray last year for pneumonia. You know, radiation is cumulative. It doesn't wear off over time. It's cumulative, meaning the more x-rays you're exposed to, the more risk you have lifetime. So if you get a chest x-ray every year for pneumonia, then you're going to have more radiation on your chest tissues or in your body. It doesn't dissipate. So anyways, I'm getting off subject. I don't even know why. So she comes in, she looks at it, she goes, yep, it's definitely there. They measured it. She said, I'm going to try to avoid a mammogram. They want to check it every 6 months for 2 years. If it grows at all or changes at all, they're going to do the mammogram, and they'll also biopsy it. At this point, like I said, it didn't seem scary to me, knowing what I know from like oral pathology. You know, I know a lot about like oral cancer and skin cancer because that's what I do every day. So knowing what I know about lesions and cysts and tumors for the head and neck, I kind of put that knowledge that I learned into that lump. And it wasn't scaring me either. It wasn't crazy hard. It is harder than everything else, but not crazy hard. It is movable. It's not fixed. It doesn't feel lumpy. Nothing gets red. It got sore once, but not like overly sore. Just a little sore. So they're going to monitor every 6 months for 2 years, and if anything changes, we'll mammogram it and we'll do a biopsy just to be 100% positive. It could potentially go away. I doubt it will because it's been there for a while and it hasn't gone down at all. And but if it does go away, great. And then if it grows, my doctor can remove it, and we already know what it is. Because at one point, maybe a couple months ago, it got quite large. I mean, it could have been like my cycle time or something. It didn't get larger like growth-wise, but it got like firmer and got sore. You know, like that time of the month when your boobs get sore? That kind of thing. Sorry if there's any dudes out there listening to this. See? Like I said, I usually act like we're all just sitting in my basement. I've gotten to know a lot of you. Like, I can't say I know you personally because I've never met a lot of you, but I've gotten to know a lot of you. That's what I really like. Like, my Facebook group is a little over 1,000 members now. But there's a lot of people who do post a lot, which I love. I don't care if you think your stuff is great. They don't need to be great for you to show us. It really doesn't, you know? Hey, I'm proud of whatever you make. And you should be too. Don't let anybody tell you your things aren't good. Do not let anybody tell you your art is not good. That makes me super angry. Because as long as it makes you happy and you enjoy doing it, then it's never bad. Okay? And don't ever forget that. It's never bad. Do not let anybody put your art down. It may not be their cup of tea, and that's fine. I don't care if people like what I do. That's great. I like what I do, and I enjoy what I'm doing. And that's all that matters, is that it makes you happy. Because if it doesn't, then why are you doing it? You know? I wouldn't go get, like, needles stuck in my gum every day, you know, because that doesn't make me happy. So why would I do something that makes me miserable? Right? Don't let anybody take the fun out of it for you. And if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. We have to go back to being like little kids again because people are rude this day and age. They're super rude. You don't even realize how rude people are until you start putting yourself out there. It's like, why do you have to take your time out of your day to say something rude? Like, did it really upset you that much? You know? Are you really hurt by that much that you gotta say something? Take the time to type something in to hurt someone else's feelings? Luckily, I haven't seen any rude comments on mine, but I've seen it on other pages, and it just blows my mind that people are like that when it comes to art. So yeah, I've got to know people pretty, you know, what they do, what they like, their type of clay projects they like. Even other art. I like when people show me their other art. I'm an artist first and foremost. I'm not a polymer clay artist. I am an artist of all mediums, or all mediums I've done so far. Pyrography, knittings, cross stitch, oil paintings, oil pastels, mixed medias. I am an artist of all mediums. I love to see if you're out of clay right now and you're not into it and you're into something else and you want to show us what you did, go ahead, post it on my Facebook page. I want to see it. I love seeing all kinds of art. Don't feel like you just have to post polymer clay there. Okay, so I think you've listened to me ramble, and I think you've watched me top up enough of these. So I have this color here. I'm doing this whole batch and putting it here. And next I'll do this whole batch and make it in another pile. And when I have the three colors in a pile, I'll be back because we'll mix them together. and try to get it evenly distributed between the whole, throughout the whole pile. Because I don't just want like pearl all stuck in one pile. I don't just want a clump of translucent. I want, that one's a little stickier. This is the pearl, the white, and the translucent mix. Oh, and so is that too. Hang on, let me pause this. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I have my 3 colors here. And all I'm going to do is mix them up. So this is definitely more sticky. And someone posted on the faux borrowwood, yes, I could leach some oils out of the clay. I'm not going to take the time to do that. I don't really feel like taking the time tonight to do that. Definitely could. If clay's sticky, you can always leach it a little bit. If clay is dry, you can always add some clay softener. Now, that person that also said that if it's dry, you can add some oils. Be careful when you're adding products that aren't made to be added, because you can change the properties of your clay if you do that. So it might seem fine at first, but in 8 or 9 months, if your projects start getting a sticky feeling to them, you know, or in a year from now, it's probably because you added something that wasn't supposed to be added to your clay. So unless I've tested and it's sat for 6 to 8 months and I've tried it out, I'm not going to say it. Oh, also people had a lot of pointers on how to remove tags. Yes, I also do know that you can, you know, add alcohol to a tag. You can add, you can put it in the microwave with water. You can put warm water on it. You can steam it. There's all kinds of ways to remove a sticky tag from stuff. Like, I get that. I had a blade in front of me. So I was thinking, okay, let's just remove it like I'd remove a sticker off a windshield of a car. There's tons of ways to do that. I'm just using whatever's fast at hand. Really. I didn't really feel like going upstairs or dealing with getting alcohol to mess up my nail polish, or, you know, whatever reasons why I didn't. So, if you have a better way to do something, just do it. But remember, if you're putting a comment out there telling people that they can add coconut oil to clay to soften it, and you haven't tested that, I don't want the backlash of, someone said in your comments that I could put coconut oil, and I did it, and in 2 years from now it made my clay's getting all weird. Well, sorry guys, I didn't put that out there, someone else did. So usually with products and things that I'm showing you, I'm showing it to you in a way that I feel the most will be able to achieve it. Okay, I'm not showing you masterclass type things where only a few people can achieve the outcome. I'm showing you the way I feel is easiest and the way I feel that people will have the least problems. So again, when I made these bowls the other day, I baked each part for about 30 minutes because I didn't want people baking them. Someone's made a comment. I'm just throw it out there. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these comments. Someone made a comment that you could bake it for 10 to 15 minutes each part, and then while the bowl is cooling down, it would continue to bake it. So the risk I see with that is that maybe someone's using a weaker clay. They bake it for 10 to 15 minutes, it cools down, they take it off, they crack their base, then they just wasted this whole layer of clay. I would rather, if I'm going to put it out there and I'm going to be the one someone's following, I would rather make sure they're not going to have an issue. If you want to bake it for 10 to 15 minutes, go for it. But I want to make sure if someone is new and has no clue about clay and they're following my instructions, that they have less issues. So I'm showing it in a way that reduces the amount of issues someone may have. I'm hoping. You know what I mean? So there are tons of ways to do these different things. I'm just trying to show it in a way that I feel like, from what I've had issues with in the past, that people will not have those same issues. Okay? So anyways, I've mixed this up. It's different tones of white, and in real life I can definitely see which one's which. And it does look pretty even. So now I'm just going to kind of condense it all together. And say later I didn't think it was distributed evenly enough, I could always chop this block up again and remix it and put it back together. So I'm just going to kind of reduce it like a circle, that way I can kind of push any air out and kind of get it all packed together. You can just roll it on your table. It doesn't really matter how you do this. This is all up to you. And then I think I am going to do some twisting to get some striations in it, but I don't want to twist a lot because I don't want a lot of striations, just a few. So you can see like the different colors here. I don't know if you can see it, but I can definitely see like that's pearl, that's more translucent. I can also see the shimmery. I'll put it together and do it one more time. Twist this together. And then I'll crunch it all up into one sausage that I'll be able to cut slices from and lay on my bowl, which I don't think I'm going to do tonight. Not that you will know. It's not the same night, but I will know. I'm just going to hunk it all up. And I do think I'm going to make this square, not round, because it'll just be easier to lay squares together than rounds together. Essentially, because if you do rounds together, you're going to have gaps. Squares, you'll have less gaps. It just kind of makes sense. How big or how small you want to make it is up to you. So you can see the striations for sure. Now, yes, I got a little piece of something on there. Usually I don't worry about that. Honestly, I don't usually. If I wasn't on camera right now, I wouldn't have cut that out. Because after all the sanding I'm going to do and stuff, that's probably going to come off. And even if it doesn't, I can put the stencil or a stamp over that little spot. Okay, so where's my acrylic block? Let me wipe it off quickly. And let's flatten this out. And make a square shape. Somewhat of a square shape. Or a rectangle, I should say. I'm going to take these corners and really sharpen them up, because this just makes it easier when you're cutting slices to put it together if your corners are pointier, because most likely they're going to dull up when we cut it. That I learned from Fiona Abel-Smith, because she's great at putting veneers perfectly together. And I like patterns. When I'm doing a lot of them, I like patterns where I don't have to line them up perfectly, which is why that faux burl wood was like so interesting to me. Because I could make a whole bowl and I didn't have to line up a pattern perfectly. That's just too tedious for me. Though it looks gorgeous, I love when people do it. I mean, I don't mind laying like 4 slices down, but I don't want to lay like 50 slices of a pattern, because I'm too type A, and if I see a flaw in it, my eye's going to go to it every single time. So now we have some nice pointy corners there. And if you have those cane bender things, those would probably work great, honestly, for this. This side's a little fatter than that side. Or those square pairs, I don't have those. But if you have square pairs, those would probably work great. So just by looking, I hope you guys can see. I know it's going to be hard to see, but there's definitely stripes in there. And the more times you were to twist that, the finer your stripes will get. Okay, so I'm going to let this rest. And tomorrow after work, I'll show you how we'll apply it. And I'll have to clean this because it's got a bunch of wood dust in there. Actually, I think I had a plant in there at one point in time, just to keep it somewhere, to get it out of a little flower pot. I think I put a succulent in there quick just to get it out of its little pot. I felt bad for it if the plant stopped. So I'll let this rest, and then tomorrow, like I said, we'll get applying it, and then this is probably going to take a lot of sanding and buffing too, just like the bowls, but hopefully it will be worth it.